Last night I dreamt the Major was reading this book. I even dreamt the cover. He jumped up from his chair, excited, a comical, grotesque figure, really. If I could remember what the cover looked like exactly, I might be able to reproduce it. I've done that before. I also dreamt I was walking on a hot summer day, carrying a huge paper sack. I don't know what the hell was in that sack. Could have been Chinese takeout for all I know. But I had a clear mental image of coming back to a house, opening it up, unwrapping the plastic bundle inside, and finding a dead baby, or a severed head, one or the other. Of course, my macabre little mind dreamt up a cannibalistic scenario wherein the protagonist actually ate the contents of the paper sack as the final horrifying surprise ending. All of this was probably inspired by a Chinese folk tale in which a woman discovers the headless corpse of her husband lying in bed. Also, David Lynch once used the expression body without a head, and it has always stuck with me. So this novel is like a corpse found without the head. So I am with this teacher, and we are both confined to the special ed room. Now you know how this goes, two people in a human bird cage, and man, I mean a literal fucking cage. Walls and floor are bendable metal slats with a tarp or rod covering them. And somehow or other we get tasked with motivating a blonde boy with a bad speech impediment. Teenage punk talks like he has a mouthful of rocks, or is part caveman or some damn thing. But there is a second room, off from the first, and this is where they keep the real retardates. Drooling hydrocephalics in wheelchairs and the deformed, and Down syndrome cases what got no more than an ability to flap their arms like a penguin and howl. But our room, our domain, is just for bad kids. I guess I was a bad kid that year, many years after also, most probably. But somehow or other I got on the good side of the law and they let me have a little responsibility, like I am some sort of shining light, right? An example for the ages. An example for all the other bad kids. We go in the second room, walking carefully over those flimsy metal slats, and right away I smell that pissy odor which clings to everything so funky and nasty. Everything having to do with the mentally handicapped. The politically correct will call me a bigot, but I bet their sweet aunt's fannies they've never been subjected to such a smell in all their born days. And I know where I'm at. There is a bed sits in the center of the floor, and reclining on it, covers pulled up to his chin, is our boy. He has a bad blonde cut and a heavy jaw, and his clothes come straight from Goodwill, but at least he's wearing some. The woman teacher says to him, pointing an accusing finger, "Get up. Get on up. You belong next door. Not in here. This is for the special needs kids." He mumbles something in a hollow, weird voice that I can't quite make out, but he is smiling. He knows we're powerless to do anything to move him, and he looks pretty comfortable, if not entirely clean. I don't know what to say. I put my hands on my hips. Then I realize something funny. The bed he is resting on is made of those same damnable metal bars. It looks pretty damn uncomfortable. I can hear it groan and creak, and crush under his weight. As he turns over, he peeps an eye at us mischievously, and then screws both lids shut again as if he is trying hard to get back to whatever dismal little dream he was having before we so rudely interrupted. I think maybe he is dreaming about how much fun he is having getting over on the system. The system. The system likes me, so it was with an amount of aplomb that I was chosen to meet the president, who was an amiable old B-movie actor that played opposite a chimpanzee. This was long ago, and the man has passed on to greener pastures. But I got to go to the White House screening room where a famous director with connections to the CIA showed his most popular film. It was a blockbuster about kids and an alien stranded on Earth. I couldn't remember exactly how the thing went or ended, and as I sat there amid the rows of suits and the high cloying stink of aftershave, I realized that it was because, for some reason, they had changed the ending. Now, about halfway through, It became an entirely different movie. Now, instead of the bicycle ride in the sky, accompanied by squat green alien in a basket, the kids were flying Black Hawk helicopters. Maybe the president liked this version of events better. And they were calling each other funny nicknames over the radio, names that had to do with different varieties of fruit, I think. I can't remember specifically. I wondered where in the hell those kids learned to fly those helicopters. And we never did get to see the alien. I so badly wanted to see the alien. But we just saw a bunch of helicopters flying over canyons, and I started to fall asleep, and the president was standing there nudging me, calling me little fella, and the famous director, who was a Jewish guy with a beard and a baseball cap, was standing there beaming with kindly eyes, but the president looked a little scared. He had a bad shave, I can remember. He had a cruel, inscrutable face of a robot. Mechanical sort of smile that said, "Don't come to me with your petty concerns and trivialities. I could blow up the world 20 times if I wanted to. You think I am interested in your outmoded politics? I am not interested at all." He held up a hand. He had 4 fingers, was missing a thumb. You know, there aren't 4 people in this room who know how true that movie really is. The director smiled, laughed a little, looked nervous. I fidgeted in my seat. Men in suits with black sunglasses changed position. Outside, Washington slept the sleep of the righteous. I was flown back home. My hometown took pictures of me, had a parade, and I ended up getting my name in the paper, but it all went terribly wrong somehow. I knew there was more to this alien business than what the president was letting on, and the director of the movie must have been in on it too, because just then the aliens started to invade my life. Little by little. The dog. Okay, so we didn't have a dog. I couldn't figure out where the hell the dog had come from, but one day I wake up and there the little bitch is. Outside, storm clouds are gathering, and I get out of bed, go downstairs, and Mom is sitting in her broken recliner watching the weather map. It looks like there's a hurricane on the way. She looks pretty scared, and I look down to realize that there isn't a dog. I've been trailing across the living room floor with a cat, a sleek little pussy. She reclines on her side. "You guys don't love me anymore," she purrs. I bend over, reach my hand out, stroke the soft fur. "Oh, we sure do, cat. We love you like a member of our own little family." "Oh, no, you don't, you big liar. You guys are planning on getting rid of me." The cat had a whiny little bitch voice. I wasn't at all shocked she should be so petulant. Outside, the wind began to grow to an enormous howl, and the lights flickered. I then saw that the cat's fur was turning red, bright red. The lights dimmed as the hurricane force gale picked up, and Mom jumped from her seat, but the cat was already clawing at my head and enveloping me with her catwomanhood, her pussy's pussy. I had an instantaneous image of being born, a whole man, from the red gaping cunt of a large, red-headed woman with pale skin. Had the cat metamorphosed, like Gregor Samsa, into a red-headed harlot floating in an indeterminate space? But I was born from the cat's vagina, or reborn, or some damn thing. Later I went back to the library, possibly to research cats and their peculiar birth canals. The library. I had been here previously, looking for a lost edition of Steinbeck. The librarian pointed out to me that they had an obscure work by Victor Hugo that demanded I read it. The text was in little columns, right side up and upside down. I couldn't make heads or tails of it. Luckily, a reenactor was there to make some sense of it, or to show a movie, or to pick apart my brain as I settled into a hard plastic seat and listened to him. He was dressed in medieval robes, a tin crown, and his hair covered his face. "Crossing oneself is not a sure way to expiate sin, nor is saying the Hail Mary or Our Father." I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. Next to him, a television screen showed the image of a hunchback racing through the streets of Paris, trying desperately to save, in the nick of time, some doomed Esmeralda who was tied to the stake amidst a pile of ash. Below her, someone had set up a cannon aimed at her face. It fires, but some sort of reverse magnetism must have been at work, because the shot is deflected and falls back to Earth. I wonder, as I sit there watching this absurdity, why it was that Pierre ran away with the goat, right when he knew that Esmeralda needed him the most, and whether or not the Saquette ever had a chance to brush her teeth while she languished in that public dungeon. Perhaps Pierre, too, was reborn from an animal's womb. Perhaps we should all crawl back into the skin of some shape-shifting dog or kitten or goat and experience the world from the inside out as we travel screaming through the darkened tunnel of delirium into the bright, brutal pain of the new day, howling with Roman intensity.